What's up everybody? My name is Zach. Thank you for tuning into today's video. We are checking out one of the newer guitars, at least to me personally, the Suhr JM Classic Pro. However, before we get started, a couple housekeeping items. First and foremost, I do want to apologize about the lack of uploads lately. There's been a lot going on. We're having a baby here shortly. We're getting the house ready. We've done a ton of demo, new camera, tons of other stuff. So, that's number one. Number two, these are not the original pickups inside of this guitar. I've swapped them out. These are the Lambertone Cremas. That is what you're going to be hearing in today's demo. However, if you do want to hear the original pickups, no problem. I'll go ahead. I actually made another video where I A-B'd the two pickups. So I'll go ahead, I'll link that up in the top above. And then lastly, you may be thinking, why would I make a review about a guitar without the original pickups? It's pretty straightforward. Pickups are a very personal thing. That's a very simple aftermarket change that anybody can make to their guitar. What I really want to focus on here today is, obviously I'll give you guys tons of sound samples with the Cremas, but I also do really want to focus on the feel of the guitars, Suhr as a company as a whole, and then what I love about this guitar besides the actual pickups, because there is still quite a bit to love. Okay, all that out of the way, let's go ahead, let's dive into the sound samples. Alright, so let's start with the most obvious question, which is, why would I switch out the original pickups? I've hit on this a couple of different times in other views, but just to hit on it quickly, I felt like the original Suhr pickups, they sounded amazing. They were just a little hotter of an output than I wanted, a little bit more pushed in the mid-range, and so then that's why I went with the Cremas. They're a little bit more of that scooped feel, really low output PAF style humbucker pickups, just better for what I needed personally. Now, my absolute favorite part about this guitar is the comfortability to play this guitar, how killer it looks on stage. I've never owned an offset body like this one. I've owned some Reverend guitars in the past, but a JM style guitar, Jazzmaster style guitar, I've never personally owned. So it's super comfortable play, feels great in my hands. One thing that I do love about this guitar as well is that the neck has a nice contoured heel, so it makes it super easy to get up on the upper register of the neck and play solos. Speaking of the fretboard, so this is actually probably one of my favorite things amongst all the Suhr guitars that I've ever played, and is normally a disqualifier almost immediately when I pick up a guitar. If I don't love the way that the neck feels, I'm just going to put it back because I'm super picky. So first and foremost, it's a maple neck, rosewood fretboard. It's got plecked frets, which basically means it goes through a machine. That machine levels everything with strings on and without, and it just makes it insanely comfortable to play. So all of that to say is the neck feels absolutely amazing. I have my Suhr Alt-T Pro in front of the camera. You guys can't see it, but you've probably seen it in other videos. And it's just an absolutely killer guitar. The neck feels amazing. I love the pickups in that Alt-T Pro, but that's not the one we're talking about. The main point I want to make is that's one thing that I think is universal amongst all the Suhr guitars that I've played is the neck is absolutely amazing. It's kind of like a modern C style neck, which I don't know the specifics. I'm just going to post the link to Suhr's website down below because y'all can read for yourself. You guys can look into the details and the specs and more specifics on it. However, I can tell you just from personal experience, it plays and feels absolutely amazing. A couple other things. The reason I ended up picking up this guitar is I actually found a really killer deal on it at a local shop here where I live. So normally these retail about $2,800. I got it for $2,000 retail, brand new, which was just absolutely killer. Originally, I wasn't really looking for a humbucker guitar. I really wanted this model with the P90s or the SC2 noiseless system that they've got inside there. I've heard amazing things about those. Unfortunately, I just couldn't justify like the extra $800 just to get P90 pickups. And then when it came to swap out the humbuckers in this guitar, I thought about going like a P90 that was shaped like a humbucker. However, I just couldn't find what I wanted. So, really killer deal on this guitar. Another thing I love about this guitar is going to be the trem system. So it's got a Goto 510 trem. I've owned one other guitar that has had this before, one of the Charvel Pro Mod guitars, and it felt absolutely amazing. It was a really smooth tremolo system. I didn't really notice any issues with strings catching or anything like that, which that obviously has to do with the nut as well, but the bridge saddles play into that as well. So I wasn't sure how I'd feel about this, but I find myself using it all the time. If you use it pretty subtly, you almost get kind of like a Bigsby style effect, which is a really desirable thing when you're playing like praise and worship. So even with my Alt-T Pro, which I mentioned earlier, that does not have any sort of trem system, so I find myself reaching for it and it's not there and I miss it. So super nice feature with this guitar as well. One other thing to point out, the nut on this guitar combined with that tremolo system, I've done crazy dive bombs, which I never actually do for any songs, but it's fun to goof around with, and really no issues as far as like crazy detuning or anything like that with the guitar. Now obviously if you go crazy over time, yeah, it's going to pop out of tune and then you just tune it back. But if you're doing pretty subtle effects or even just like an occasional dive bomb, I've never had an issue where it pops out of tune. It's only if you're doing it quite a bit. All in all, if you guys are looking for a new guitar, I think anything by Suhr is absolutely amazing. I think, again, I got a steal on this one. You can typically find them used for about $2,000, $2,200, but it's an absolutely outstanding guitar. It's one of those that I think inspires me to play. It's fun to pick up. I enjoy it. It's something that I constantly go back to, which if you can find a piece of gear that pushes you to play or inspires you to create, I always think that's a good investment, especially when you've been playing for so long. I've been playing for like 14 years. After a while, that creativity starts to feel a little more forced. So having a piece of gear that inspires that and pushes that, I think is absolutely worth it. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments down below. And then of course, like, subscribe, check out some of my other content as well. And then thank you so much. Stay tuned and talk to you next time. Bye.